Okay, good to welcome everyone at the beginning of a beautiful new week here at our Zoom family Daf Yomi. We are sponsored by AB Spry, for Shalem for Taibarai Zabas Hinda, and for great zivugim for their daughter and grandchildren. We're sponsored by Baruch Ian Lila Nishmas Yaakov Chaim and Abba, Esther Bas Yona, Avram and Shmuel HaKayin. We're sponsored for the emotional, spiritual, and physical protection for Yeshua Menachem Mendel, Ben Bela Shendel Rivka. We're sponsored by Shalom Fogel, Lila Nishmas Yaakov Zeb, and Yehud Arya, Rivka Bas Yaakov Yosef, Tivya Miriam Bas Gad, Yosef Ben Tzim Ben Yaakov Zev, and for a great shidduch for Chayet Tzivya Bas Shoshana Gittel. We're sponsored by Menachem Umansky with a tefillah that all those that are looking for a zivik should find it quickly and easily, and by Eddie Chazan for the safety of Am Yisrael and for the Hatzlacha and safety of the IDF and all those that are fighting on behalf of Klal Yisrael. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam she'akol niyeh b'dvaro. Very good, thank you. Shay mitzvahs l'avin amalka chamin b'matzoi Shabbos melugma. So we are holding by Rav Dimi Bar Abba, and that is 9 lines from the bottom of Daf Tezvav Amid Beis. 9 lines from the bottom of Daf Tezvav Amid Beis. Rav Dimi Bar Abba, Kederach she'asu limkor la'ovei kochavim, just like it's forbidden to sell to a pagan weapons, also limkor la'listim Yisrael. It's forbidden to sell it to Jewish thieves. Now, if we're suspected that these thieves will kill, pshita, that's obvious. They're as bad as a pagan. If he's just a thief, he's not going to kill anybody. Says the Gemara, he's not going to steal. Here we're talking about a person that steals in stealth. He's a sneak. The Zimnan David Latzilei Nafshe, if he gets caught, he might try to save his life with the weapons. Tana Rabbanan, now here's an interesting thing. Can you sell to a pagan a shield? So at first glance, a shield doesn't seem to be a weapon. It's a defensive item. So Tana Rabbanan ein moichem lehem treisen. You can't sell them shields. You can't sell them a shield. My time. So the Gemara says, what's the reason of the opinion that says that you can't sell it? If it's because it protects them and allows them to be around further, well, if that's the case, then you shouldn't be able to sell them food either. You shouldn't be able to sell them wheat and barley that sustains them. Amar Rav, so Rav tells us as follows. You're right. The truth of the matter is if it would be possible for you to avoid selling them wheat and barley, and it wouldn't cause ava, it wouldn't cause enmity, then you shouldn't sell them wheat and barley. But that would cause enmity. But you don't have to sell them shields. Others say, no, the reason of the Yesh Aimrim that say that you can't sell a shield is because it's a weapon. Because a shield, they could sometimes kill with the edge of the shield. The reason why the Yesh Aimrim says you can't sell a shield, the Chishilaim Zainayu, when they finish their weapons, they kill with the shield. The Yesh Aimrim Meichlem Tracing, others say you can sell them a shield because the Chishalim Zainayu, when they're finished with their weapons, they don't stick around. They flee. Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rav Abba, Avu halacha ki yeshayimim. The halacha is, like the yeshayimim, that you can sell to them shields. Amar Rav Ada bar Ava, ein moichrin lahem asher shoyoy shel barzel. You can't sell to them pieces of iron. My timer, mishum dechol sheminayu klei zayim, because they forge out of it weapons. Says the Gemara, Yachi afilu marei v'chatzine nami. Then you shouldn't be able to sell them a hoe or planing instruments either, because these items can also be flattened and become weapons. Rav Zvid, no. What kind of iron? It's only beparzula hindua, Indian iron. Indian iron is used exclusively for weapons. And today that we sell to the pagan Indian iron, Ravashi, that's only leparsoi to the Persians. The Persians protect Klal Yisrael. This was a time that they protected us. The Mignu Ilvan, they protected us, and therefore we are able to sell them. Now, the Tanakhama says that you can't sell a Behemah Gasa, and you can't sell even Agolim V'Syachim, even calves or foals. You can't sell even a maimed animal. While Rabbi Yehuda says, Tanya, you learned in the Brisa, Rabbi Yehuda Mata B'Shvura, you could sell a maimed animal. Why? Because this will never be able to work. It can't be healed and live. So, therefore, we don't have to worry that people will see it and say that you could sell a whole animal, big Behemah Gasa, rather he's going to slaughter it quickly because it's not able to live. Amrullah, so he said, V'haloi marbiyan aleha v'yoledes, but they could breed animals with it, and since they breed animals with it, they'll keep it around. V'keven de marbiyan aleha v'yoledes asul l'shu'uyeh, they'll keep it around, and if you keep it around, people will think that you could sell regular large livestock to a pagan. Amalahan l'kisheteled. You will worry about that when it gives birth. In other words, an animal that's maimed is not strong enough to mount for mating, and therefore they're not going to keep it around. An animal that's maimed is not strong enough to hold a mating of a male, and therefore it won't be kept around. I see we have a guest on here. Menachem, is this your guest from Eretz Yisrael? Yes? Okay, Rav Yaakov Altman, we give you a big bruchim aboim, and it's wonderful to have you. Thank you very much. Are you joining us actually from Eretz Yisrael?
Yes.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, good to vach over there, and we always have our thoughts trained to Eretz Yisrael and its safety, and it's a pleasure to have you join our Chabura. Please come whenever you can. You see, unlike over here, in America, the longer I go, the later it gets. In Eretz Yisrael, the longer I go, the better it gets. But anyway, you know what? Since I already stopped, we could welcome every in. We welcome in Mel Zachter, Irving Fishbaum, Irving, it's good to see you, Marshall Castle, Ben Zion Cohn, Yaakov Warman, Saba, Yisrael Fisher, Michael, Dr. Block, Berish Gesserman, Ruven Shannet, Dr. Guy, Menachem Umansky, Shimon Deer, Shimon, it's good to see you, Rabbi Kranz, Yitzi Muller, Yitzi Fuchs, and Rabbi Altman, Nachman Chapler, Bruce Eisenberg. Bruce, it's good to see you. Aisha Lehman, Richard Rosenzweig. Richard, it's good to see you as well. Ilya Shutman, as we learned for Ilya's wife, Rus Bas Eugene, her neshama should have an aliyah. Danny Vogel, Abe Arbach, Yeshua Shmuel Eisenberg. It's good to have a father and son duo with us this evening as we're just getting underway over here in our Motzei Shabbos marathon. So the Gemara says, and if you're joining us just now, we are in progress on Daf Tez Zayin Amud Aleph, and we are holding 15 lines from the top at the two dots. Ben Beseira Matir Besus. Ben Beseira permits to sell a pagan a horse. Tanya Ben Beseira Matir Besus. Why? Because there's no problem of Shabbos, right? That we should be geyser, that you might come to lend it, you might come to rent it, or that you might do a test. Because a horse is made for riding, and one does with it a malacha that's not chayav achatas, because the chay is noisei etzatzmai, the rider carries himself to the point where the horse is not doing the whole activity, and therefore there's no Isur Shabbos, no Isur D'oraisa. The Rebbe oiser mipnei beis dvar. Rebbe has two problems with selling a horse to a pagan. Echad mishum teres klei zayin. One, because it's a weapon, it's used in war. A person could kill somebody with the hoofs of the horse. The echad mishum teres bein megasa. And one is because of the concern that it's large livestock. So the Gemara says, well, let's try to understand Rebbe's two reasons. Bishloim teres klei zayin, that it has the din of a weapon. That ika the kotel b'schufe, because it could kill somebody with its hooves. Elatoris be'imagasa mahi. What does that mean? Says the Gemara. You know why? Because when it gets older, it taka does work, because they take it to grind with it, and at that time, a person before Shabbos could make a test with it to see if it's going to follow instructions, and you have therefore the reason of nisyonei. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, so Rabbi Yochanan says, excuse me, sheyasken matkina b'rechaim b'Shabbos. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, but Rabbi Yochanan says the halacha is like ben beseira. Halacha ke ben beseira, that you could sell a horse to a pagan. We're not concerned of the two reasons of Rebbe. Ibayilhu, shorshel petem, a ox that's fattened. And therefore, since it's fattened assumedly for shchita, for slaughtering, can you sell it since at that time it's not fit for work? Mao, what's the din? Tiboy Rabbi Yehuda, Tiboy Rabban. It could be shayla according to Rabbi Yehuda. It could be a shayla according to Rabban. Tiboy Rabbi Yehuda, Adkan lo yishari Rabbi Yehuda ela b'shmura, where it's maimed, that it'll never become roi for work. The lo yasi l'klal malacha. Aval hai, but this animal, the chimashile, because if you keep it until it loses weight, asi l'klal malacha, aser. Aiduma, or perhaps afilu rabbanan like asre. The rabbanan like asre hasam. In the case of a shvura, ela destame lav l'shchita kai, because minastam it's not for shchita, and therefore the Rabbanan hold that it's aser, since minastam such an animal is not used for shchita. And Rashi says that the reason why it's lav l'shchita kaima is because he'll keep it around in order to be megadol v'lodos. Aval hai, but when it's fattened, the stami l'shchita kai, that stam it's for slaughtering, since it's fattened, maybe afilu rabbanan shar. So the Gemara says Tashma, Dam Rav Yehuda Mashmul shall base Rebbe, the house of Rebbe, hoyu makrivin shorshel petem b'yoim edam. The house of Rebbe would offer, because the house of Rebbe had to, show good relations with the pagan king, so they would bring a fattened ox on the day of their festival, not chas v'sham to be worshipped to idolatry, only as a tribute to the king. But they didn't want to give it on the day of the idolatry. So Chaser Dalad Rivavan, so Rebbe took from his coffers 40,000. Dalad Rivavan is 10 myriads, 4 myriads. It's 40,000 coins. She'ein makriven oisei hayom el l'machar, that they shouldn't bring it on the Yom Edom, only on the next day. Then Chaser Dalad Rivavan, then he spent another 40,000. She'ein makriven oisei chai, that they shouldn't give it live, el shachet, only slaughtered. Then Chaser Dalad Rivavan, then he spent another 40,000. She'ein makriven oisei kol iker, that they shouldn't give it at all. Now, my timer, what's the reason why he wanted to do that? Isn't it because they might come to keep it around until it becomes weaker? In other words, it's not fat, and then you could do work with it. Says the Gemara, according to you, why did they spend 40,000 that they shouldn't do it on the holiday? But tomorrow, if it's forbidden, then what's the difference between the holiday or tomorrow? My timer. Ella, says the Gemara, Rebbe me'aker milsaboy. Rebbe wanted to uproot the whole thing. He wanted to uproot the whole necessity of giving the tribute. V'saver ya'aker v'osi pursa. And he figured he'll uproot it slowly. Says the Gemara, but this idea that the suggestion that even according to Rabbi Yehuda, it might be usher because you could wait around until it loses weight and then does work. Gemara questions that. V'chi mashilei bari v'avin malacha? Is it true that when they cause it to lose weight, it will be healthy and able to do malacha? Won't that emaciate it? And it won't be able to do malacha? Says the Gemara, Amar Rav Ashi, Amali Zvida, I was told by Zvida, Bar Torah Mashinle, a axe, if they keep it until it gets trim, it becomes stronger, va'ovid al chad train, and it's able to do double the workforce. So yes, it's true, you could rate and it would be able to do work. Okay, as we welcome in, I see Eddie Chazan just joined us, and I believe Mo Kushner just joined us, as we're awaiting a lot of arrivals here. What'd you say? Shavuot Tov. It's nice of you to land in. I know a man that's on the run, it's very hard for him to learn Torah, but Eddie knows that he's only able to dodge all his enemies by learning Torah. Eddie, it's good to have you on the new Mishnah towards the bottom of Daf Tet Zayin Amud Aleph, Mo as well. Eddie, I'm just curious, where are you now? If you could divulge that. Houston, okay.
Chicago, Eddie. I'm waiting for you. I'm waiting.
Houston, okay. A dollar to a penny. He's not really in Houston, but that's what he says. Okay, now Eddie, after a while, I'm going to get used to the fixtures in the hotels, and I'm going to know where you really are. But anyway, the Mishnah says as follows: Ein moicher lehem dubin v'arayos. You can't sell them bears or lions. the kol davar sheyesh by nezek l'rabim, or anything else that could be a menace to the public. You know, they don't have the halacha of loisamoid al dam reyecha, and we can't trust them that they'll take care of it. So you can't sell them a menace. Ein boinen imayim basiliki. A basiliki is a huge chamber where they judged people and they threw people off the roof to their death. Now, actually, the maskana of the Gemara will be that basilike has a colon after it, and it means a huge chamber for a gardam. Gardam is a room with bleachers so that the people could see the court proceedings, and this was for capital crimes. Itztadya, that's a place where the gladiators put people to death, killed people. Obima, and this was also a large platform where they threw people to their death. Aval boinen imayim, and here we're going to be geiris with a dalid. Aval boinen imayim dimusiais. Dimusiais are baths that they created from hot springs. They drew the water of the hot springs into these baths. They made spas, ubeis marchatzos, and bathhouses. However, in their spas and bathhouses, they had a dome where they put an idol. So you can't work on that dome with them. When it reaches the dome where they put the idol and also live nice, that you're not allowed to build. This is a chulin halacha. The law is that if you have an animal that's a mesukenes, an animal that's dying, and you want to shecht it, in order, because if it dies on its own, it's going to become a nevela, you're going to lose the whole animal. So you quickly shecht it. Because it was dying, you need a simon that it was alive through the shchita of the majority of the veshit and the kana. By small livestock, the animal has to jerk its when you're doing the shchita, the animal has to jerk out its foreleg and bring it back. It's not enough just to jerk it out, it has to bring it back. It has to do that. By a behemoth gasa, it's enough if the animal just puts out its foreleg, it doesn't have to bring it back. So here, as we welcome in A.B. Spry, it's good to have you, A.B. We are on the bottom of Tez Zayin Amud Aleph, 4 lines from the bottom. This is what good Yidden do on a July 4th weekend. They come in and they learn Torah's Hashem. It's wonderful to have everybody. Now, so the Gemara says, so Chaya Gasa, a beast, a large beast, like a buffalo, a wild ox, a wild donkey, an orud. It is like a behemoth daka lepirkus, meaning that it only has to put forward its foreleg, it doesn't have to bring it back. Avaloina mechira, but not for a sale. By a sale, we don't say like small livestock. We said it depends. If they're suspected of bishtiali, you're not allowed to. But if they aren't, you're allowed to. A behemoth gasi, you can't sell at all. V'ani omer, and I say, in other words, Reb Chanan bar Rav Chisda himself says, afla mechira, even for a sale, mokum shenagul imkar, if they sell the behemoth gasa, then meichrin. Because we're not worried about work, because you don't do with these animals work. The only thing you have to worry about is bestiality. So if it's a place where they sell and there's no bestiality, you could sell it. Shaloi limkar ein meichrin. Tanan. So the Gemara wants to bring a raya from our Mishnah. It says in our Mishnah, Ein Meichun Lem Dubin V'Arayas, bears of arroyas and lions, but the only reason is this is a chayagasa. The only reason is because of a menace. Time it is because they're dangerous. It's permitted, right? Because it has din like a behema daka leperchus, which is a raya to Rav, and a kasha on Rav Chanan bar Rav Chisda. So Amar Rabba bar Ula, so Rabba bar Ula says no, it's no raya, because it's talking about an ari shavar, a lame lion, a maimed lion. And it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, V'alib Rabbi Yehuda, that where it's maimed and it doesn't, not able to do work, so that's why you're allowed to sell it if it's not a menace, but not a regular lion. Rav Ashi says you don't even have to say it's a maimed lion. A lion isn't a good worker. It's not Makabel Morris of humans. Rav Ashi Stam Ari Shavar Malacha. A regular lion is considered maimed, but Enochanami may be a buffalo, or a wild ox, or a wild donkey that you can sell because it does work. As Gemara will say later on, it can pull a millstone around the track. Says the Gemara, Meisvei, Kishem she'ein moichin lem bein megasa, just like you can't sell them a bein megasa. Kach ein moichin lem chayagasa. You can't sell a chayazaka. Va'afilu b'makom she'moichin lem bein medaka, and even a place where they sell small livestock because they're not worried about bestiality. Chayagasa ein moichin lem. Tiyufta de Rav Chanan bar Rava. It's a refutation of Rav Chanan bar Rava. That's according to the second Gersa, and first Gersa would be Rav Chanan bar Rav Chisda. Tiyufta. It's indeed a refutation. Ravina Rami Masnisan Abraisa. Ravina asked a stira from a Mishnah on a Braisa or Mishani, and he answered the stira. What's going on over here? What's the stira? Tanan, ein moichelem dumim ba'arayis. You can't sell bears and lions. Now the implication is Taima de is peinezik. It's only because it's a menace. Less peinezik, but if there isn't a menace, moichin, you're allowed to sell. We're not worried about it being used for malacha. V'raminu, we learned not that way. Kashem shei moichin be'ei megasa, just like you can't sell a large domesticated animal. Kach ei moichin kayagasa, you can't sell a large beast. Even a place where they sold small livestock because they're not concerned about bestiality. So how do you? It seems to be the deduction from our Mishnah is not like this brisa. Or Mishani, we answer no. The deduction from the Mishnah that if it's not a menace, you're allowed to sell. That's ba'ari shavar. That's talking about a maimed lion, which is not good for malacha. V'alib Rabbi Yehuda, who says when it's maimed, you're allowed to sell it. Rav Ashi says, no, a lion is not an animal fit for malacha because it's not Makabel Morris. Rav Ashi Stam Ari Shavar eats a malacha. And a lion is not Makabel Morris from a human, and therefore it's permitted, but another Kayagasa would be forbidden. Says Gemara, another thought. Who says that an Ari, it sounds strange, but who says the lion is considered a behemoth, a chayagasa, a huge animal? Maskva of Nachman Leimelon the Ari chayagasu. Dilma chayadakahi. Maybe in relation to a giant wild ox, it's not considered a chayagasa. Now, Rav Ashi, Dayik Masnisen, or Moisef Tiyufta. Rav Ashi makes a diak from the Mishnah and asks a refutation. Tanan, ain't moichelem dubim v'aroyis, you can't sell bears and lions, v'loi kol davar sheyesh by nezik l'rabim. Now, time it is by nezik. Hales Beinezek, but if it does have, it is a menace. Excuse me, Hales Beinezek, is it not menacing? Moichin. The timer, and what animal could you sell? Only Ari, a lion. The Stam Ari Shavu Eitz Malacha, because a lion is not Mekabel Moritz and it doesn't do work. Avomide Achrina, but another big animal, another Chayagasa that could work, David Malacha Loi, which is Tiyufta, Rav Chanan Barava Tiyufta. So now the Gemara says, okay, so you're telling me that other large beasts do work. The Chayagasa Miyas My Malacha Avida. A Chayagasa, what work does it do? Amar Abaya, Amali Mar Yehuda, the Bay Mar Yochni. Mar Yehuda from the house of Mar Yochni says, Tachnei Reichayim, excuse me, the Amali Mar Yehuda, the Bay Mar Yochni, the house of Mar Yochni, Tachnei Reichayim Baroide. He grinded with a mill powered by wild donkeys. So you see that you could do things with large livestock. Now we're going to go back to this halacha that a chayagasa, when it's a mesikenes and you shecht it, it has a din like a behema gasa, that it could just put out its foreleg without bringing, excuse me, a chayagasa has a din like a behema, like a behema gasa, that it's not enough to just put out its foreleg, but it has to bring it back as well. Amar Zera ki avina bei Rav Yehuda. When I was in the academy of Rav Yehuda, Amrulan, he told us, Gmiri minoi ha milsa, you should learn from me this halacha, the megavra Rabba Shmieli. I know I heard it from a great man, but I'm not sure if it's Rav and Shmuel. V'lo yedana im Rav im Shmuel. But it's both a great men. Chayagasa, harihi ki behema daka lepirkas. A chayagasa is like a behema daka lepirkas, that when it's mesukenes and you shecht it, it's not enough for it to put out its foreleg, but it has to bring it back in as well. Ki osi lekukunya, ashkakte Rav Chia Barashi. I found Rav Chia Barashi, v'yosef v'kama mishmei d'Shmuel, and he said this in the name of Shmuel, chayagasa ari ki behema daka lepirkas. I mean, I figured out, I solved the puzzle. Shmami na mishmei d'Shmuel. However, the mishmei d'Shmuel itmar. However, ki also the surah, when I got to the academy in surah, ashkachte l'Rabba bar Yirmiyah, I found Rabba bar Yirmiyah. The yosef v'kamalei mishmei d'Rav, who said in the name of Rav, chayagas ari kibei medakal perkis. Amina. So therefore, I concluded shmami na itmar mishmei d'Rav, itmar mishmei d'Shmuel. But the story isn't over. Ki slikis lost, and when I went up over there, Eretz Yisrael, Ashkachte Rav Asi, I found Rabbi Asi, Yosef Kamar, who was sitting and saying, Amar Rav Chama Bar Gurya, Mishmei de Rav. Rav Chama Bar Gurya said in the name of Rav, Chayagasa Hari Kibedemedaka Lapirkas. Now, I heard it in the name of Rabbi Bar Yirmiyah, and he's saying it in the name of Rav Chama Bar Gurya. Now, this is very important stuff. You might think this is, well, we have to sit and learn this for throughout the millennia. The answer is the exactness of the Messiah is very important. Just to be convinced of how important the details of the Messiah is. So Imre Lay, he asked him, when he said it was in the name of Rav Chama Bar Gurya, V'loi Savar Mar Deman Morad Dishmaitza, who is the author of this dictum in the name of Rab? Isn't it Rabbi Bar Yirmiyah? Amalei, so he said to him the following term of praise. Pasya Uchma, you black pot. Now he's called a black pot because he was so diligent in his learning that sometimes he didn't get a chance to wash up, and his face was blackened from continuous learning. Minoyu minoch tistayim shmaitza. From me and you will come out this sugya, because actually we'll have the full transmission, because it was Rav Chama Bar Gurya that heard it from Rav, and Rabba bar Yirmiyah, who heard it from Rav Chama bar Gurya. And here Marnami, Amar Rav Zera, Amar Rav Asi, Amar Rabba bar Yirmiyah, Amar Rav Chama bar Gurya, Amar Rav. So Rabba bar Yirmiyah, who heard it from Rav Chama bar Gurya, who heard it from Rav, Chayagasa, a large non-domesticated animal, Harihi Kibay Medaka Lepirkus, that in order to ascertain that it was alive throughout the Shechita, it has to put out its foreleg and bring it back in. Okay, we're going to pause a moment to just change the channel over here.